She gave a homeless man food for years. Then 12 Marines showed up at her wedding in full uniform. For many years, Elizabeth had given food to a homeless man who was always begging by the side of the road. She would buy him meals and even clothes. However, one day she found out that he wasn't really homeless. But when she discovered why he was pretending, she invited him to her wedding. Much to her surprise, 12 Marines showed up in full uniform to honor the homeless man. How did they know him? What had he done for them? Why did they attend his wedding? You're about to find out. Elizabeth lived in a small town and worked as a nurse at the local hospital. She was a kind woman who always helped those in need. So when she started seeing a homeless man begging by the side of the road, she felt sorry for him and decided to help. The first time she gave him some food and money, she thought it would be a one-time thing. But every time she passed by, she saw him there, and she couldn't just keep going. So she ended up giving him something to eat every day. In addition to giving him money so he could buy himself something to eat, Elizabeth also bought him new clothes because she noticed he was always wearing the same dirty, torn shirt. After doing this for several weeks, Elizabeth started feeling a bit guilty. She hadn't really asked him any questions, and she wondered if he was really homeless, or if he was just pretending. So one day she decided to talk to him and find out more about his story. The man told her that he was indeed homeless and had been living on the streets for years. He said that he had no one else to turn to, and that he was desperate for food and money. Elizabeth believed him and continued to give him food and money. She even started bringing him hot meals from work. She was determined to help him get back on his feet and live a better life. But little did she know that there was more to the story than met the eye. One day, while talking to the man, Elizabeth learned that he was a veteran. She was shocked and immediately apologized for not realizing it sooner. She promised to do more to help him and keep doing what she was already doing. But she wanted to do more. She wanted to make sure he got the help and respect he deserved. She started taking him to the local VA hospital for checkups and made sure he was getting the benefits he needed. She also contacted a local charity that helps veterans find housing and jobs. Elizabeth was determined to help the man get his life back on track. She didn't care that he was homeless or had been living on the streets for years. She saw him as a fellow human being and wanted to help him live a better life. Months went by, and Elizabeth continued to help the man. She never lost sight of her goal to make sure he was taken care of. She never gave up on him, even when others did. She was determined to see him succeed and live a life that he deserved. Then one day something amazing happened. The man got a job and was able to move into a small apartment. He was finally on his way to independence, and Elizabeth was overjoyed. She knew that all her hard work had paid off, and that the man was finally getting the help and support he needed. She was proud of him and couldn't wait to see what the future brought to him. Elizabeth never forgot the man and the impact he had on her life. She continued to visit him and offer her support even after he got a job and moved into an apartment. She wanted to make sure he was doing well and that he never fell back into homelessness. She was proud of how far he had come and was determined to help him stay on track. One day, Elizabeth decided to take the man to her favorite restaurant. It was a small, cozy place with delicious food and a warm atmosphere. She wanted to treat him to a nice meal and celebrate how far he had come. As they sat down to eat, the man told Elizabeth that he was planning to ask his girlfriend to marry him. He was in love and ready to start a family. Elizabeth was overjoyed. She knew that he had found someone special and was excited for him. She encouraged him to propose and start the next chapter of his life. A few months later, Elizabeth received a wedding invitation. It was from the man she had met on the street. He had written her name on it, and she couldn't believe it. He was actually getting married. She was so happy for him and couldn't wait to attend his big day. She put on a beautiful dress and went to the ceremony. The wedding was held in a small church, and the atmosphere was filled with joy and happiness. Elizabeth walked into the church and saw the man she had met on the street looking dashing in a suit. His girlfriend, who was now his fiancée, looked beautiful in a white dress. They were surrounded by friends and family who had come to celebrate their special day. As Elizabeth took her seat, she couldn't help but reflect on how far the man had come since she first met him. He had been homeless and living on the streets, but now he was getting married and starting a new life. She was proud of him and grateful that she had played a part in his journey. As the ceremony began, Elizabeth listened to the vows being exchanged and watched as the couple sealed it with a kiss. She couldn't help but feel a sense of pride and accomplishment. She had helped this man get his life back on track, and now he was starting a family. It was a heartwarming sight to behold. After the ceremony, Elizabeth joined the reception and congratulated the newlyweds. She danced with them and celebrated their love. As the night wore on, Elizabeth noticed something strange. A group of men in uniform had arrived at the reception. They were tall and well-dressed, and they were talking to the groom. Elizabeth couldn't help but wonder who they were and what they wanted. As the night went on, the group of men in uniform became a topic of conversation at the reception. People were whispering and trying to figure out who they were and what they wanted. Elizabeth was curious, but she didn't want to cause any trouble. She decided to stay out of it and enjoy the rest of the wedding. As the party continued, Elizabeth couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. She looked around the room and realized that something was off. That's when she noticed the empty chair. It was the groom's chair. He had disappeared. She had never seen anything like this before, and she was starting to get worried. Suddenly, the music stopped, and everyone turned to the door. In walked the groom, but he wasn't alone. With him were the 12 men in uniform. They had returned with him and were now standing in a group. Everyone was staring at them and wondering what was going on. Elizabeth was confused and scared. She didn't know what to do. Then the groom's fiancée approached the microphone and made an announcement. She told everyone that the men in uniform were there to honor her fiancé and present him with a special gift. Elizabeth was confused but intrigued. She couldn't believe what she was about to hear. The bride then introduced the men in uniform. They were Marines, and they had come to honor the groom. Elizabeth was shocked. She had no idea that the groom was a Marine. She couldn't believe that he had kept this part of his life a secret. The Marines explained that they were there to present the groom with a special gift. They had been watching him from afar and were impressed with the progress he had made since leaving the Marines. They wanted to show their support and let him know that they were proud of him. Elizabeth was touched by the Marines' gesture. She had no idea that the groom had served in the Marines, and she was amazed by the brotherhood and loyalty of the organization. She couldn't believe that they had come to honor him and support him on his special day. The groom was overwhelmed with emotion, couldn't believe that the Marines had come to honor him. He was proud of his service in the Marines and was grateful for the support and recognition he had received. He thanked the Marines for coming and for making his wedding day even more special. After the presentation, the Marines joined the reception and celebrated with the couple. They danced and mingled with the guests and shared stories of their time in the Marines. Elizabeth was fascinated by their stories and learned a lot about the groom's life in the Marines. She couldn't believe the things he had seen and done and was proud of his service. As the night wore on, Elizabeth couldn't help but feel a sense of admiration for the groom. She had no idea that he had been in the Marines and was amazed by his courage and dedication. She was proud of him and grateful that he had shared this part of his life with her. In the end, Elizabeth was glad that she had attended the wedding. She had witnessed a beautiful ceremony and reception and had learned a lot about the groom. She was proud of him and his accomplishments and was happy to have played a part in his life. The Marines had honored him and shown their support, and Elizabeth had been a part of it. She would never forget that day. After the wedding, Elizabeth continued to keep in touch with the groom. She was happy to see him starting a family and living a happy life. She knew that he had found someone special and was excited to see what the future brought to him. She was proud of him and all that he had accomplished.